The Civil Aviation Authority has started a year-long study into assistance for disabled flyers. It's designed to help improve the level of special assistance that disabled passengers receive when flying from UK airports. The online poll will run for a year and the results were due to be published early in 2016. According to the CAA, more than 2 million passenger journeys are taken a year in the UK by people with a disability or reduced mobility. And people with reduced mobility, the satisfaction study asks travellers to grade a range of airport services from good to extremely poor. There's apparently 17 questions on this survey and it includes the courtesy and helpfulness of airport staff. The CAA's Director of Regulatory Police, Ian Osborne, said air passengers with a disability or reduced mobility should feel confident about travelling by plane and have a good experience of when they fly. This survey will support better regulations by identifying poor service and sharing best practices across the industry. By helping aviation learn from its passengers, it should enable more people with reduced mobility to have an enhanced experience when travelling through the UK airports. The story goes on to say that passengers with a disability or reduced mobility are legally entitled to special assistance when travelling by air under EU regulations, and this includes help when arriving and moving through an airport. Now, the survey can be found at www.surveymonkey.com/s/ and capital letters PRMUK. So it's www.surveymonkey.com/s/PRMUK, and PRMUK is in capital letters. I spend a lot of time at Luton Airport and I see the assistance that passengers do get when they ask for it, and the staff always seem pretty great there and the service seems pretty good. But there are people who don't realise what they're entitled to, and when I speak to them about the airport, one of the big complaints is how far they have to walk to get to the gates. So anything that's going to do to promote special assistance for people who need it at airports, I think is a good idea. If you've had a story about an airport where you didn't get the assistance you deserved, please do share your experience at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. I've always fancied going down to Patagonia and going whale watching. I've seen videos of very small boats going out to look at these huge whales and getting up really close and personal with them. Obviously, I don't want to bother the whales in any way, but to be so close to such magnificent animals, it'll probably have me blubbering, to be perfectly honest, if you excuse the pun. But this story could put one or two people off the idea of getting so close. A female tourist was killed and 2 others were hurt when a grey whale crashed into a sightseeing boat off the coast of Mexico. The woman, who is a Canadian in her late 30s or early 40s, was reportedly tossed into the water when the surfacing whale hit the side of the boat, which was packed with 24 people, which was made up of tourists and crew. Reports said that she was pulled back into the boat and given mouth-to-mouth resuscitation by another passenger before being taken to hospital by naval paramedics, along with the 2 injured passengers. Unfortunately, the woman later died, but the others were thought not to have sustained life-threatening injuries. The boat was operated by a tour company, was returning after a short excursion from the resort city of Cabo San Lucas on the Pacific coast of the Baja California Peninsula, and there was been an unusually large migration of whales this season, so there's a good chance for people to see whales. And you do have to wonder when these whales come up what the chances of hitting the boat are, and unfortunately the chances are quite great in this instance. If you've been on a whale watching trip and you've either been concerned about how the whales are being harassed by the boats, or you felt the safety was an issue, or whether you just had a great time and you got some good pictures, post all the information facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. A hotel used by First Choice in Turkey is under investigation after a holidaymaker fell ill and needed hospital treatment. Charlie Sortridge, who's the call centre worker, claims she fell ill with gastric illness halfway through a holiday at the 5-star Club Blue Dreams resort. As well as hospital treatment at the time, she said she continued to suffer when she returned home. The 26-year-old from Southampton has instructed lawyers Irving Mitchell to investigate the cause of her illness. She claims that other holidaymakers staying at the resort were suffering with similar symptoms, as there were queues of people waiting for medical attention. Jennifer Dowling, the legal specialist at Irving Mitchell's International Personal Injury Team, who I have featured an awful lot over the last 2 years of doing this show, said the majority of her holiday was ruined and she wasn't able to enjoy herself as she wished. Understandably, she has been left feeling disappointed and upset by her experience. It is also very concerning to hear that her reports of other guests were also ill. We are now investigating and hope that the tour operator First Choice will work with us as we need to seek to investigate the cause of Charlie's illness. The tour operator First Choice have issued this statement. We are sorry to hear of Miss Sortridge's experience at the Club Blue Dreams Resort in Turkey last year. As we understand, this is now subject to legal proceedings. It would be inappropriate for us to comment further. And they went on to say that First Choice closely audits all resorts through which we operate to ensure that health hygiene and comfort levels are maintained in line with industry standards. I'm going to have to try and get Irving Mitchell on the show one time because they do an awful lot of claims like this. And it'd be interesting to see what their advice is should people feel ill while on holiday. And no doubt we will find out what the cause of this was in due course. If you've been ill on holiday and you've used solicitors to get compensation or just get your money back for the waste of your trip, how did it go? How difficult was the process, or was the process easy? Facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show to share your experience. If you're looking to invest in the travel industry, then this could be the investments you've been looking for. Blackpool South and Central Piers and the Grade 2 listed Llandudno Pier are all up for sale for a combined price of £12.6 million. If you just want to buy one or two, then Blackpool Central is on the market for £4.8 million and the South Pier is on for £3.3 million, and while the pier in Wales, Llandudno Pier, is £4.5 million. All the piers date back from Victorian times, but Llandudno is the only pier with listed building status, so any future owners would require listing building approval if they wanted to make any changes to the structure. I remember going on piers a lot when I was a kid, when holidaying around the UK, but it's not something I've done for an awful long time. But anyway, if you fancy a pier, now's your chance to get hold of one. My final story this week concerns TripAdvisor and the review they've removed. Now, I've actually had a review rejected by TripAdvisor for a cinema in London. I didn't use anything that you couldn't find in the Daily Mail or the Sun newspaper, but they said the language wasn't appropriate, so it didn't get put up. I just couldn't find another way of describing the attitude of the member of staff. So when I saw this story about another review that's been banned, I suppose, it was of interest to me, and then I found out it was about my local pub. That made it even more interesting. But anyway, TripAdvisor has caused a stir on social media when it deleted the restaurant review that accused the owner of biting a waitress and slapping her on the bottom. The reviewer received an email from TripAdvisor which said, "Please do not post content that is not relevant to trip planning and research." It's different to the one I got, but never mind. The reviewer described in her review scene that the manager of the Bell in Westning, which is in Bedfordshire if you didn't know that, bite a young waitress on the shoulder and then slap her on the bottom and make kissing noises when she jumped. And she said in the review, "This was a huge reminder that we still need feminism even in 2015. The manageress of the Bell responded on the review site, writing that the owner, Roberto Perini, was a very kind employer, work colleague, friend and a man who is adored by many people. TripAdvisor later removed the post, telling The Guardian that it breached guidelines which asked reviewers to refrain from personal, political, ethical or religious commentary. People resorted to Twitter to complain about TripAdvisor's decision, saying it was the equivalent of Facebook removing photos of breastfeeding. So at least the review got approved before it got taken down, which is one step further than I got. If you've had a review taken away by TripAdvisor, either before that's posted or afterwards, what was it about? do share the information. Facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. And that's the end of the travel news for this week. Well, it's the end of another John Guinn Travel Show. If you've been to Ottawa, please do share your experiences with us at Facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Likewise, if like me, you've had a review banned by TripAdvisor, please do tell us what you wrote about and why it was banned. As I mentioned before, if there's any destination you want covered on the show or you've got any travel questions, just let me know. Post on Facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. I'll get a guest on to answer the question, talk about the destination, or point you in the direction of a show that covered the destination or your answer over the last couple of years. I do hope you can join me next time on the John Guinn Travel Show on setclosesounds.org, where each week I'm checking it out before you check in.
MK Pulse proudly sponsors Seclo Sounds. MK Pulse is Milton Keynes' local magazine, bringing helpful information on food, health, fashion, money, travel, culture and much more to 84,000 people every month. Plus news, views and what's on from around the city. If it's happening in Milton Keynes, it's in MK Pulse and it's available online at www.mkpulse.co.uk. MK Pulse and Seclo Sounds, the heart and soul of the city.